Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Very excited because of my guest today. First of all, let me just say that this is episode 28 of Strictly Healthy. And of course, this is the show that discusses all things to do with your health and that impacts on your health, including your financial situation, your business health, and also we're talking about emotional, mental, physical health. So today I will be talking to Taz Thornton, who is billed as the UK's female #1 motivational business speaker. I hope she can correct me if I've got that wrong. But very pleased to have her today because she will be sharing some details on how we can showcase our business. So welcome, Taz. Thank you very, very much for joining me today.
Welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes. So you are have some amazing accolades actually behind your name. So I am very pleased that you can join me today and share some of the wealth of knowledge of information that you have behind you. So we only have about half an hour, and I know your time is very valuable. So we'll sort of get right into it. But I saw that you got quite a few awards over the last 2 or 3 years. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you managed to get those awards?
Oh, goodness me. Well, there's lots. In 2018, I was named the UK's Best Female Coach. 2019, one of the UK's most inspirational businesswomen. 2020, Central England Business Professional of the Year. I've won awards for speaker training, all kinds of stuff. And it's a mix. Sometimes it's my PR and my marketing team getting on there and thinking, you should be entering this award, let's do it. Other times, like when I won the Best Coach Award, I didn't even know I'd been entered. What had happened is my wife had, unbeknownst to me, spoken to a load of my clients, and they'd all got together to compile this entry. So I knew nothing about it until I realised that I'd been put through to the finals. And I was like, what? How did this happen? So that was actually really lovely that so many of my clients had got together and colluded to give me a reward. So that was lovely.
Oh, well done. Great. Good.
Thank you.
So, congrats to you and, so far how you've managed to get there. And now I first came across you on Clubhouse, and
okay.
You seem to have, you're on there quite a few times as a mod, and I don't know what groups you're in exactly. I've seen you in some of them, but you're sharing quite a bit of information there. And so I just want to get right into it. First of all, let me just ask, what is the secret to success for you? What has been your secret to success?
Knowing what success means to you, having an idea of where it is you want to end up, and then being brave enough to reverse engineer from there. If you haven't, it's like any journey, isn't it? If you haven't programmed your sat nav, it doesn't matter where you end up. And if you're okay drifting, that's cool. But if you have, I like to say, I have a mission that's bigger than me, and that's what gets me up out of bed. It's what gets me from under the duvet when I don't want to have those mornings that we all have every now and then.
Sure.
And so if we can get a clear enough image or a feeling, just something to hold on to anchor where we want to end up, then we can work out, okay, in order to get there, what do I need to do? And keep taking those steps and just keep going.
So what you're saying is start from the end and work backwards. Start with the end in mind, as they say.
And of course, when you get to that end point, you'll probably then have a different end point, because whenever I'm working with someone on a coaching scenario, for instance, they might come and say, Taz, I want to achieve this. But we can only ever see as far as our mindset allows us to go. So when we get to that point, or even get closer to that point, then it'll be, wow, well, I've done that. That's easy. What's next?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Good. So you are the sort of go-to person in terms of how to showcase your business, because so we want to find out as much as possible about that. So if you can share with us. First of all, everybody keeps talking about authentic self. Yeah. Can you explain that a little bit more? Because, I see you had certain terms like faux, fame, facade. I thought that was quite good. I like that term. So what really is your authentic self? I know there's a lot of content out there and information, but we can still, you share your thoughts.
I think there's a lot of BS out there. There are an awful lot of people who think what they need to be doing is playing the fake book and Instagram game. And that's not what it's about. If we think back, think of motivational speakers. And in the old day, you know, a corporate might bring a motivational speaker, and it might be somebody who's really inspiring. Maybe they've climbed Everest. They've got no arms, no legs, and they've climbed Everest with only the aid of a sharpened toothbrush, you know. And in the moment, wow, that's so amazing. But is it actually going to impact our lives? No. And then we move into these raft of people who say, look at this mansion. I had this mansion with 6 Ferraris and I lost it all and I ended up on a park bench. But now here's a bigger mansion with 75 Ferraris. And that's, again, wow, good for you. Well done. Yeah. But unless you want to have a massive mansion with 75 Ferraris, not going to impact. So I think what we've been missing, and this is where this whole authenticity thing comes in, is we need to be really honest about our lives. And, you know, so for those people who've been following me online for a while, if I'm having a crap day, I will sometimes say, guys, I'm having a really shit day today. I didn't want to get out of bed this morning, but this is what I'm going to do to shift it. This is what I'm going to do to make sure that by this afternoon I'm feeling better, and by tomorrow I'm back on par. Because, you know, sometimes unfair things happen. Life is not meant to be fair. We're not born and handed a certificate. Welcome to life. It's going to be fair. Sure. So sometimes, my old swear word coming, I hope that's okay. Sometimes shit will hit your personal
it's not
fan.
Okay. If you can avoid
it's mild. It's mild. It will hit your fan, you know. But it happens, doesn't it? It happens. So we can either keep complaining about all the beep that's hitting our personal fan, or we can go, this might feel unfair, but it's mine. It's mine to learn from. It's mine to work with. And we should be talking about that stuff as well. We shouldn't just keep working through a veneer. And I think there's a lot of backlash against the whole authenticity thing. And it's where people have started to say, I am authentic. You shouldn't ever have to tell someone that you were authentic. It's something that we show people through our thoughts, through our actions, through our deeds.
Yes. Okay. So in other words, show up as real. You need to show who you are. And if something isn't going right, you're having a horrible day, as you say, let people know, you know, because then they can more relate to you, can't they?
Yes.
Indeed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Now, can I just ask a little bit about, I think you've joined America Out Loud. What was that about?
I've been on that platform for a long time now. I was first asked to join as a show host about 11 to 12 years ago now. And it was when they were running a show called Life, Liberty and the Pursuit of Pleasure, I think. And they had a whole host of different women with very different kind of political opinions and all kinds of ideas. And the point is that we all came together to discuss sometimes quite contentious topics. And it was about actually listening. It was about, okay, you have that opinion, you have that opinion. Where's the middle ground? How do we learn from each other? How do we grow together? And that was a really amazing experience. And when that show came to an end, the guy who runs it, a guy called Malcolm, asked me if I'd stay on as a contributor, which is quite interesting because let's just say the majority of the platform has slightly more right-leaning views than me. Okay. So I'm this little tree hugger in the middle of it all. But it's, for me, it's all about helping people as much as I can. And I think sometimes we need to park judgment and find the common ground, find the commonalities. Because all the time we're looking for somebody's wrong, somebody's right. We're never going to find any peace. We're never going to be able to move forward and grow.
You can't please everybody, can you?
No.
Right. So how, if you can give us some idea then about how we can showcase our business, what's the best way to showcase it, what apps we can use? Maybe we can start with, what's it called? Clubhouse, sorry.
Clubhouse. Okay.
So many apps are going around in my head.
There's so it's confusing, isn't it? There's so much. Where do I show up first? The first thing is stop trying to think you're showcasing your business and go big on showcasing your personal brand. I know it's a really old adage, but people do buy people. And, you know, people talk about competition a lot. I am a coach, I'm a trainer, I'm a speaker. I'm in probably one of the most saturated marketplaces. And yet I don't believe in competition. My books are full. I have a waiting list. Thanks very much. I think first we need to get rid of competition mindset. And then we need to think about who is it that we want to work with? You know, where do they hang out? What is it? How can we help? How can we serve? Not here's my products. How can I help people get to wherever it is they want to go? In terms of your business arena, what is it that's waking people up at 4 o'clock in the morning? And how can you help with that? Now, if you look at all the different platforms that are available at the moment, for me, the two most powerful, hyphen deliberate, because it's about being filled with power and sharing that and using that as a kind of magnetic energy rather than trying to have power over things. The two most powerful for me and for most people in business right now are LinkedIn, followed by Clubhouse. And yes, of course, we've got Facebook and Insta and TikTok and all of the rest of them. But in terms of business to business, although of course it's actually all it's all H to H, it's all human to human. But in terms of business arena, LinkedIn, then Clubhouse. Now, Clubhouse is brilliant because it gives us a platform to get in there and help. It gives us a platform, particularly during lockdown, where a lot of the live speaking gigs weren't happening for obvious reasons.
Yes, indeed.
Clubhouse created a platform where we could get up there, we could share our expertise, and we could show up and listen to some of the best business minds and life minds and health minds there are. So it's brilliant. I know.
It's amazing because some people like Grant Cardone and different ones, celebrities have been on there, which is just, it's mind blowing to me that they've spent the time to be on there and they feel like it's a valuable audience to capture.
But, you know, the last time I was in a room with Grant Cardone, the host of that room just said, Grant, can I just check, are you here to help? Are you here to learn? And Grant said, well, I'll help a little bit, but actually I'm here to learn. So I think another thing we need to do is stop putting these people on celebrity pedestals. They're people. They need to keep learning and growing like the rest of us. And my grandfather always used to say we could learn as much from a tramp, from a hobo on the street, as we could from the Prime Minister. Everyone has something to teach us. So
indeed. Tell me something. Okay. What is it about Clubhouse? I know you were saying, yes, Clubhouse. How best to showcase ourselves on Clubhouse?
Show up. And that sounds so simple, but show up. Don't think, I haven't got time for that. Show up, make the time. Now, when I first exploded onto the Clubhouse scene, I'd sat on it for ages. I thought, I'll wait and see if it falls over. You know, the social media channels are popping up all the time. By the time I thought I'll start engaging, I was kicking myself because my peers have got like 1 million followers and I'm sitting there going,
But you've got 15K followers though.
Something like that. I don't know. Something like that. So
you probably have more, but that's what I
haven't checked in a while. But I set myself little goals with that. So for me, that was like, right, how do I get up to 1,000 followers? And that's when I really committed myself to looking at how to best show up on Clubhouse, how to use it, how to build your audience. And show up, stick your hand up, get up onto the stage. But when you get onto that stage, give massive value. Value. So you want those people in the audience to go, wow, they're amazing. Follow. Where do they hang out? What do they do? So show up, learn, give value, but also be polite. Don't just barge in. In fact, if you search Taz Thornton and Clubhouse, I've got a couple of articles on blogs out there that will just give people step by step how I grew and how you can do it. So that might be useful.
Well, okay, I'll look for that and I'll share it with this video and other bits as well too. So that's good to know. But how did you manage to get as not a speaker, but yeah, you're a mod, aren't you, on some of the rooms? How did you manage to do that?
Sometimes people ask me, or in a couple of cases, I started my own room. So in the beginning, when I was building, I was on there every spare moment. I was listening and thinking, is there an opportunity to jump in? That was my strategy for growth. Get in there and give value as often as possible. And then it got to the point where we can only spin so many plates. So then it got to the point of where do I want to focus? So now I run a room on a Tuesday, which is called Coaching Crew, which is just advice and information for coaches on how to build their business. Because so many are brilliant at coaching, but don't know how to run a business and build and onboard and all of that stuff we need to know. And then on Thursdays, I co-host a room with a lady called Pam Case, which is coaching, mentoring, business training, advice for anyone in business. And that covers everything from social media and brand to public speaking, anything they want to know. And then there's an occasional one that's more that's more of a kind of hobby group I drop in and out of on a Sunday. But they're my two main ones now. And every now and then someone will ask me to come and mod and speak on one of their groups and I'll show up. But the main thing is those two. They're on most weeks. Every now and then we have to skip a week because life, but most weeks Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they're always pre-promoted. So if you pop on, you can stick a note in your diary. They're always pre-promoted on Clubhouse.
Okay, wonderful. So what any other tips that you want to share with us regarding Clubhouse and how to best use it?
For Clubhouse, remember that when you're creating your bio, you can search by emojis on Clubhouse. It's not just words. Yeah. So that's why when you look at people's bios on Clubhouse, they will be littered with emoticons and emojis. Before you just guess, though, do go and put the emoji in and search and see what comes up for it first. Sometimes we'll think it means one thing and it means something else. Don't be littering your profiles with aubergines, people. All of that crazy stuff. Make sure your bio is complete. So when I was first running rooms on Clubhouse, I'd say, look, if you're in this room, I'm going to follow you because that's my give back. And if it turns out you're an axe murderer, then I'll unfollow you later. I'm giving you trust. It's up to you to keep it. But now, because there are more and more people coming in, I've got to the point of saying, if you are in here and your bio is complete, I will follow you. There are an awful lot of people, and this goes across all the social platforms, actually. Make sure that your bio is complete. Make sure it's a picture of you, not a picture of your dog or a picture of your business logo. Make sure people can see who you are and get a flavor for you.
They always say that, isn't it? Make sure your bio is complete. That's very good tips. Can we now switch to what about LinkedIn and the value and how we can present ourselves on LinkedIn effectively?
Huge, absolutely. In fact, only this morning I wrote a post on LinkedIn about how to get the best from LinkedIn. For me at the moment, although these things change, if you're watching this 6 months down the line, it might have changed a little bit, who knows?
Sure.
LinkedIn at the moment has the best organic reach for anyone in business, but you've got to understand how to work it, how to use it properly. You've got to have an idea. Nobody knows how algorithms work apart from the people creating the algorithms. But there are a few of us, and I'm one of them, who are geeky enough to knuckle down and keep doing tests and work out what's working. So your big thing with LinkedIn is, again, show up. More than any of the other platforms, LinkedIn wants to keep you inside that platform. It wants to see that you are actively networking. You can't just post and run. You can't just do buy my stuff. It wants to see that you are actually networking, engaging with other people, and not just the same people every day. There's no point just agreeing with all your friends that you'll all engage on everybody's post every day, because they'll soon pick up that pattern and cap your reach. So at the minute, for me, if I do a post and it gets less than 2,000 views, it's a rubbish post, and I know that it's not done very well. So the other thing LinkedIn measures is how often you're on the platform. Last week I took a week out, and when I went on Monday's post and Tuesday's post, Monday's post got 1,800, Tuesday's post 2,500 and something. Wednesday's is on 23,000 plus and growing. So it does. If you don't show up, it matters. Show up, I would say, at least 3 times a week. And make sure that you are not just focusing on making yourself interesting to others, but pay as much attention as being interested in others. Think about who you think about who you want to be doing business with, who you want to be allied with, who you want as clients. Find them. Use the search. Find them. Start commenting on their stuff. Start engaging. Never, ever, ever connect with someone and then send a pitch on InMail. Don't do it. People can now mark that as spam and report it straight away. So never do that. What else? The polls facility is working very well at the moment. They're getting a really high reach. Don't do a poll for the sake of doing a poll. Don't do croutons or bacon bits. Make sure that it's something worthwhile. Recognize as well that if you run a poll, at the end of that, you get to see who voted in which way. Nobody else can, but as the poster, you get to see that. So if you're canny, you can really generate some good leads that way. Document posts are working very, very well. So PDF document posts. If you go and look at my profile on LinkedIn, you'll see every now and then, if you're on mobile, you'll have images that you can scroll through like a carousel beneath my post. If you're on laptop, if you're on laptop, there are images you can keep clicking through. That's a document post. And if you want to use imagery with your content, it's much better to do that than to just post a photo. If you just post a photo on LinkedIn, it will cap your reach. They do not do well. The algorithm doesn't like them. So if you're going to do images,
so no photos
unless you upload them as a multi-page PDF and upload it as a document. Document posts get a big reach. Now,
But
go on.
what kind of info would you put on this document?
Well, so this is what I was just going to touch on. When they first came out, they were a great way for people to, I don't know, share things like training notes or brochures. But now it's moved on. Now we need to remember that majority of people are watching on one of these. And if you have a document post that's just full of text, people can't see it without the aid of an electron microscope, and they're just going to scroll past. So right. I would now advise using them for storytelling. So a lot of mine, I use like a cartoon strip to illustrate. I'll still do long form post above it. And I will use the images in the document to kind of tell a story. Because number one, big pictures, not many words, big fonts. Keep it all in your brand, all in your colors, to train people that that's you. Because remember, no matter how brilliant your content is, the first time people see your content, they will not remember your name. You've got to build in some visual clues. And that's a great way to do it, to get your brand across. The other reason they're great is that LinkedIn is really now big on dwell time. That's part of the algorithm. So they're dwell time, DWELL. They're literally measuring how long somebody spends on your post.
Dwell time. Got it.
Dwell time. So the old days where people would say, nobody's got time for that, just do a couple of lines. No, it's not going to work. You will not get a good reach. So you've got to make sure that your posts are interesting and engaging and informative, and they really give value. So a well thought out document post alongside some good long form content is going to keep people on your post for longer, and it's going to go further. So they're really big tips at the minute. There have been some changes going on as well. So just recently, they used to cap posts at 1,300 characters. Just recently, it's gone up to 3,000. So they've more than doubled the amount that you can write on your post. But please make sure it's interesting. And one more quick tip on LinkedIn. There's loads where this came from, but one more quick tip. Hashtags. Hashtags. People get it so wrong with hashtags. Number one, people use too many. LinkedIn advises 3. Now, I reckon 3 hashtags. I reckon you can go up to 5 or 6 and it won't hurt too much. But if you start scattering hashtags all through your copy, LinkedIn's spam filter, and it has an automatic spam filter. First, it goes through an electronic one, and then it has actual real people behind the scenes checking to see if it's a good post. So if you put through too many hashtags in, number one, it's going to get stuck in that first spam filter. Number 2, it just looks a bit rubbish. Now, the way to use your hashtags, most people tie in hashtags to the topic they're writing about on LinkedIn. So let's say that someone's writing about mental health, but their key audience, let's say their key audience is, I don't know, web developers. So you might write your post on mental health, and then you'd think, well, I'll do things like hashtag mental health, hashtag anxiety, hashtag depression. But all that's going to do is show your post to more people who are in the mental health sphere. What's more pertinent is if you're targeting web developers, for instance, is to do a bit of research on the hashtags around web developers and do something like hashtag web developers, hashtag web designers, hashtag graphic designers, and use the hashtags to steer your content to the audience you want to be connecting with. They would be my big LinkedIn tips for now.
That makes a whole lot of sense to me and very helpful indeed. Very
You're welcome.
Helpful. So any other tips on other platforms? Well, of course, there's Facebook, there's TikTok, Insta, all of that stuff. They say you've got to do a bit of that, especially Instagram seems to be a real key one. Do you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. I think it depends who we're aiming for. I mean, I do Facebook and I do Instagram, but my main focus has been on LinkedIn because, I work with a lot of coaches, so they're going to hang out more there. But what you've got to think is you need to stop and think what your end goal is. So today in a Facebook group I checked, somebody had asked, please, can you help me? How do I get more followers on Twitter and on Instagram? And so we'll just stop, reverse engineer that. What is your end goal? Are you who's your target audience? Are you looking for more business? Are you looking for more clients? Are you looking to bump up your prices? Or are you looking to become an influencer? And a lot of people have been kind of divorcing from common sense and just going, I want to be an influencer. I want to be an influencer. And there are so many people wanting to be influencers and just trying to tick the right boxes. And they're missing the point. The way to gain influence is to gain influence within your niche by connecting with and being relatable to the people in that niche and giving good content. Instagram, make sure your images are clear and crisp. And again, when people click on and they look at the grid, don't worry about trying to be clever and make all your pictures make all your little grid images into one big picture, because the second you add something, it disappears. Instead, focus on making sure all your images are on brand and carry images of you or your brand, your colors, your fonts. Keep your brand strong. Again, you are training people to recognize your content.
Yes.
Use your hashtags. Use opinion is divided on LinkedIn. Some people say use up to 12 to 15. The majority of Instagram experts I know say use all 30 hashtags. So use your hashtags as well.
Yeah.
And make sure that you go back and respond to the comments quickly. Again, don't post and run. The other thing I would say is please do not use a third-party app like TweetDeck it used to be in the old days, where you would just where you spam the same content across all your channels. Don't do that. Don't ever do that.
See, now I've heard something different, only this week, to use these types of platforms so you can get your message out there.
But that's where it's going wrong.
Don't do that.
Don't. That's where it's going wrong. We're losing the point that this is social media. It's for networking. It's for engaging. It's not a shop window. And with LinkedIn particularly, they are actively filtering out people who use third-party apps. If you go through a third-party app through LinkedIn, you're not going to get the reach. And I've heard that some of the other platforms are doing the same. There's a number of reasons not to do that at once. Number one, unless you can be absolutely sure that you have completely different audiences on all of those channels, if you spam blast that whole message across all of them, where people cross over, they're going to say, well, I've already seen that on Facebook, so why do I need to follow them on both accounts? I'll unfollow here. Or worst case, well, clearly they don't actually want to bother engaging with me and with this audience. Clearly they don't really care. They're just trying to grow their numbers. So sod that, or go and find somebody else and unfollow you everywhere. So it's not good for your... You can be, I call it content DJing, which is a phrase I nicked from Gary Vee, which is you can put out the same type of content, but at least make sure you've got a bit of time before putting it on, say, LinkedIn and then onto Instagram. Change it a little bit, tweak it for your audience, use different imagery, and you're okay. And one last social media tip I'd leave people with is please don't neglect Twitter. A lot of people are thinking Twitter is old hat, but Twitter is where all the journos hang out. If third-party endorsement via PR is important for you, then use Twitter. But again, you can't post and run. You need to find people talking about your area of expertise and start chipping into those conversations and giving value. You need to find the journalists who are writing about your area of expertise, then go and find them on Twitter and start adding value. Twitter, I would say, in terms of business and growth and visibility, is third in importance. LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter. Then we start filtering down to Facebook, TikTok, depending on your audience and your business sector.
Sure. So none of this dancing and all this kind of, trying to get reach.
Hey, it's fun, but is it going to give you clients? You might get, if you're taking part in one of these TikTok challenge dance-offs. I've got a client who does it. She sprained her ankle not too long ago doing it. And it's great, but it's nothing to do with her business. She does it for fun. That's her kind of hobby social. If you want to do that, great. But if you want to, if your target market is, I don't know, GPs, are you going to start attracting GPs to work with you because you've just done a funny dance on TikTok? Or are you going to attract them by giving content that is relevant?
Yes. Yeah. No, I get that. I understand what you're saying. That is very, very good. Very helpful. Now I got somebody buzzing now at the
See,
door.
It's so good people are calling in to get it.
So what else can you tell us about how to unleash your awesome? Because that's the title of your book, clearly. I see it there.
Yeah, that was the title of my second book.
Say about what we can do to unleash your awesome?
For me, a lot of it is about learning to flip your negatives. It's about getting to that point where instead of asking, why is life doing this to me? Why is this happening to me? Flip it into, why is this happening for me? If we go back through our lives and look at some of the darkest times in our lives, and instead of feeling in kind of victim mode, we step into our power and go, okay, that might have felt awful at the time. Nobody would have asked for that. But what did I learn from it? How did I grow from it? How can I grow from it? How can I use that experience to help others? How can I make that, instead of that experience being an anchor that weighs me down, How can I use that experience to empower my future? And I think that's so important that we need to try and get to the point where we genuinely see everything in life as a gift. You know, one of my daily practices is gratitude, is coming up with 5 things you're grateful for every morning. And a lot of people struggle to come up with 5 things. I say, well, okay, if you're struggling to come up with 5 things that you appreciate, go for 10. If you aim for 10, you'll find 5. And it's about rewiring our brain to approach life in a different way.
I love that thinking. You know, if you're having problems, because I've heard that before, if you're having problems with something, do more of it, you know, and that'll push you sort of beyond.
It will
out of your comfort zone.
Comfort zone. What is this comfort zone? And another one of the rules, and this isn't my saying, I forget where I heard it now, but I live by it, is if there is no solution, there's no problem. It's just part of life's rich tapestry. We run around like headless chickens trying to solve things for which there is no solution. Instead of going, okay, there's no solution here, so I might as well park that. What's over here? You know, we get off on getting stuck instead of thinking, what's next? It was such an overused word during the first parts of lockdown, but pivot, you know? What else can I do? How else can I help? What can I learn from that? If I can't change that, what's over here that I can actually use my energy on in an effective and productive way to serve not just me, but others?
Indeed, yeah. So really, I appreciate that. What you've shared. I could see that we could probably talk a lot longer, and maybe if you're okay with it, maybe you can come back and share some more with us. Sure. But so where do we find your tips again? Is it on your web page or?
Oh, they're all over the place. All over the place. So that you can find the Beginner's Guide to Clubhouse. You'll find on Medium, on my website, which is tazthornton.com. And it's on LinkedIn as an article, because that's another thing. You can use articles on your blog and on LinkedIn and on Medium safely without affecting your Google ranking, because they're all Google indexed differently. Quick tip at the end there. Okay. You can find, if you go and find me on LinkedIn, connect with me there. Today, I've written a big post about what's working and what isn't on LinkedIn, and there's a lot more than the stuff I've covered here today. If you sign up, I have a weekly mailer that comes out called Awesome Source, which is very, very low sell and big on give. And whenever there are changes on social media, then I'll talk about those. I give marketing tips, business tips every week. Just give. That's my whole ethos. Give. You give enough and you gain.
Yes, indeed. So I want to thank you for your time today. I really, really appreciate that. And hopefully we can have you back another time, if possible.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye for now. So that was Taz Thornton sharing with us some fabulous tips. I mean, it was rapid fire, but hopefully you'll watch this again, because some really great tips and information on how we can unleash our awesome and showcase our business a little bit better. So thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.